Hello everyone, it's your friends from the Tarrant County Democratic Party. We're working very hard to turn Tarrant blue on Election Day. A lot of you have been asking, how do I do my part? Well, it's quite simple. Just remember 4 important things to do before Election Day. Number 1, register to vote. Go to registertexas.com and see if you're registered. If not, you can do so up until October 5th. The second thing you should do is get ready for early voting. You can vote early this year from October 13th to October 30th. Early voting will be critical this election. As you may know, Texas is now a swing state, and turnout will likely be unprecedented. We want to do everything we can to avoid large crowds on November 3rd. We need to make sure everyone can vote quickly and safely. When you enter the voting booth, remember step number 3. Don't stop at the top. This year, Republican elected officials have taken away straight ticket voting. Republicans making it harder to vote? Shocking, I know. Let's show them that these kinds of tactics won't work in Texas. Vote for every Democrat up and down the ballot. Don't stop at the top. When you're finished early voting, you can help us out with one last thing. Sign up to be an election worker. The more workers we have, the more polling places we can have open on Election Day. You can sign up at tarrantdemocrats.org. This is another important step that will make voting easier and safer. It's also a paying job. Help out your community and get paid. So remember, registertexas.com. Early voting. Don't stop at the top. And be an election worker. With your help, we can turn Tarrant and Texas blue.
Unmuted. Good evening, and I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. This is so exciting because this year, more than any other year, we have put together an extraordinary group of candidates, well-qualified candidates. But we could not have done this without the incredible work that has been done by our Tarrant County Democratic clubs and our allied organizations. And so tonight we're so grateful to have some of them joining us with on this call tonight. If you've received a call, if you've received a text, if you've had a lit drop at your house, these extraordinary groups have been campaigning in the time of COVID. And we also have been joined this year in an amazing way by our kind of head honcho, the Texas Democratic Party. They have made Tarrant County a battleground. Also, we've known it was that for several years. So I want to introduce you, before I introduce you to these candidates, to extraordinary sponsors of tonight's events. And so that is the Northeast Democrats, Indivisible, Grapevine, and our Texas Democratic Party Service Coordinator. So I'm going to ask that we welcome Angie Hetisimer, who is the Vice President of Northeast Dems. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you, Deborah, and thank you for having us. Yes, I am the Vice President of Northeast Tarrant County Democratic Party. My president is actually one of the candidates you'll be hearing from tonight, Kathy Braatz. So I'm representing her and our club tonight. We've been meeting virtually since, I think, April now, and we've had some really fantastic virtual meetings that have been well attended. We've had candidates, we've had great speakers, and coming up for us, a week from tonight, Thursday, September 17th at 7 p.m., we will be having our annual fundraiser. We're really excited. The Texas Senator Beverly Powell is going to be joining us, the hosts of Pod Bless Texas, Kendall Scudder and Lillian Salerno, and Christina Cincin Ramirez is going to be joining us that night as well. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. If anyone wants to join us, we will be happy to have you. All of the money that we raise at our fundraiser will be going to support Tarrant County Democratic candidates. So thank you for having us.
No, thank you, Angie. And so now another one of my favorite people, and I have walked a picket line with these folks. So representing Indivisible Grapevine, I'd like to welcome Heather Thornton. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Deborah. Thank you. I'm Heather Thornton. I am one of the co-leaders of Indivisible Grapevine area. We are so happy to be here and co-hosting tonight and supporting our wonderful candidates. We love working with the Tarrant County Democratic Party any chance we can get, and our frequent partners, Northeast Tarrant Democrats. Our specialty at Indivisible is turning concerned citizens into activists. We help people find their place, the best way to utilize their skills and interests and make the world better to help save democracy. Right now, we're in electoral mode, and we're supporting our fabulous candidates by hosting candidate action nights. Every single Monday, we're having phone banks. Feel free to join us. You can join us on our Facebook page or by email, and I will drop the link in the chat so that you all know how to reach us and have just as much fun as we do. Thank you all for coming. I'm looking forward to hearing from our fantastic Tarrant County candidates. Thank you again for everybody.
Thank you, Heather. And now I'm really excited too to introduce someone. The Texas Democratic Party has been a great partner always with the Tarrant County Democratic Party. But this year we're so excited because we have some designated resources that are just for Tarrant County. And so before I introduce Nick Alto, who is our TDP candidate service coordinator, Nick, I want to tell you that I wrote my check for $200 to help judicial candidates. So get that link. As soon as we get that link set up, you'll be getting it. So welcome, Nick Alto.
Well, thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much for your support as always. And we at the TDP this year, we know that Tarrant County is the most flippable county in Texas, and I think that it's clear through the investment we're making, both in time, money, and people. And that's me, I'm the people, that we know that, through the work of the great activists here, and more importantly, the fantastic candidates, that once we all work together, we're going to flip this county blue. And I'm very excited to be a part of that with all these wonderful candidates.
Yay. Well, thank you, Nick, and thank you for joining us on this call tonight, because you are going to meet some great candidates. And so I'm going to tell everybody we're going to flip the script just a little bit, because believe it or not, we have amazing elected officials and candidates who are out there campaigning in a time of COVID. I worry about them. And so our first speaker is going to be Commissioner Roy Brooks. He is out campaigning. Commissioner Brooks, I need you to be safe. I've already had 3 COVID tests because I don't stay indoors. But I think you all know how important the governing body for Tarrant County is. And in Tarrant County, we have 4 county commissioners and a county judge. Our first speaker tonight is going to be Commissioner Roy Brooks. And so many times, I'm going to tell you, I said, if you didn't hear me, Tarrant County, our Tarrant County Governing Board has 4 county commissioners. And the person that I'm going to introduce first is an amazing county commissioner who many times, well, not many times, but all the time, had to represent all the Democrats in Tarrant County and has always stood up for what is right. This last election cycle, he was amazing, and we were able to recruit another candidate to run for county commissioner. He was very engaged in that race and helped elect a second Democratic county commissioner. What that did for us is gave us 2 votes on a 5-person commission, the 4 commissioners and a county judge. And because of the work that he's done, the successful work that he's done in lobbying his fellow commissioners, we were able to get countywide vote centers and some other favorable things for Democrats. So we look forward to not only hearing from Commissioner Roy Charles Brooks, but sending a 3rd commissioner, Democratic Commissioner Kathy Braatz down there to him. So Commissioner Brooks, I know you've got to go to an event at a park, so I am going to turn it over to you to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the things you're doing, and then I'll tell everybody about early voting and all that. So Commissioner Brooks, welcome.
Well, thank you, Deborah, for sponsoring this event. I am excited about the Tarrant County Democratic Party and about our chances this year in the November election cycle. I am convinced that we are going to be pivotal in flipping the House of Representatives from red to blue. I guarantee 3 seats, and I'm prayerful about 5. So Tarrant County will do its part. Now, let me just say that it has been one of the greatest privileges of my life to serve as Tarrant County Commissioner for Precinct 1 for the past 16 years. And I would be honored to have the chance to continue my service to the people of Tarrant County and the people of Precinct 1. During my time as commissioner, I've seen firsthand the challenges my community faces and have worked every day to improve the lives of my constituents. The last few months have been anything but normal, with the COVID pandemic shining light on all of the inequities that plague our society. Access to health care and supporting our local economy have always been priorities of mine. And now it's even more imperative to ensure my constituents have the resources they need not only to survive, but to thrive. When elected, I will continue to provide plenty of opportunity for signing up for health care through the Affordable Care Act, so that no parent has to face the impossible choice of whether to take their sick child to the doctor or put food on the table. I am proud of the improvements in our JPS Health Network system of hospitals and clinics, supported by our recent bond program, and I commit to always be the steward that you can trust for the health and welfare of our families. With quality health care, folks will be able to get help they need without fear of breaking the bank. My love for the community I serve is what drives me to work every day to create a brighter future for generations to come. We have done good work together in the past years, but we face unprecedented challenges. We are a community that calls on our strength, our faith, and on one another to achieve things only possible united by shared values and love for our fellow citizens and for our great state. This year, early voting starts October 13th and runs through October 30th. Election day is November the 3rd. We must not let anything deter us from casting our vote for Democrats in every race, from the top of the ballot to the bottom of the ballot. Please don't ignore the bottom of the ballot, because that's where you'll find my name. Please vote for Roy Charles Brooks for commissioner and for Democrats in every race on the ballot. Together we can continue to make Tarrant County a place where every one of God's children is safe, loved, and accepted. Thank you, and I ask for your vote.
Oh, wow. So now you all know why I always ask Commissioner Brooks to go first. Not only does he speak for himself, but he speaks for every Democrat. And it's been far longer than 16 years. He's been fighting for Democrats across Tarrant County. So Commissioner Brooks, we are grateful as always for your participation, for your support. I live in Precinct 1, so you know you have my vote. And don't we have a fundraiser coming up quickly?
It was last week.
Oh, so, okay, so I have a check for you too.
Checks in the mail, I understand. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooks. And please feel free for you and Jeanette to go to your event now. Please stay safe.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I have my mask.
You have your bright blue mask. Thank you. Go be safe.
Indeed.
Okay.
Thank you. And good luck to all the candidates tonight. We've got your backs.
Yes, you do. And so as Commissioner Brooks goes to campaign for us, he mentioned something, and so I do want to talk about it. Early voting starts on October the 13th through October the 30th. And next week, Hyder Garcia, the elections administrator, will be going to the commissioner's court to present his list of all of our not only early voting locations, but our polling places. And so I would be remiss if I did not thank Commissioners Brooks and Allen for working so hard to ensure that we kept all of our original election sites, because we need those. And so we're going to talk about October the 5th is the last day to register to vote. We are still in voter registration mode along with lit drops. And I did 2 events just this weekend on voter registration and have another 2 coming up this weekend. So I'm encouraging all of you deputy registrars, please continue to register people through October the 5th. Also, we'll talk about vote by mail in just a little bit, because vote by mail ballots, if you have asked for a vote by mail ballot, those will be going out on, the first batch will go out on September the 25th. And so you will be able to receive your ballot if you requested it already early. And we're asking you, please don't hold on to that ballot. Vote for every Democrat from the top to the bottom of the ballot immediately when you get it, and then return that ballot. You can either mail it back in, or if you would rather drop it off, you can drop it off at Tarrant County Elections at 1300 Premier Street. So we are currently working on those 2 initiatives, voter registration and continuing to reach out on vote by mail. If you want to work in our introductory video, we still need election workers. We have 314 potential sites. We have already 236 Democratic judges, but we have about a pool of 317 other volunteers. So we need 123 other Democratic election judges. We'll be reaching out to all of those folks who have volunteered to see if they want to be election judges. But if you're willing to work on election day, please put your name in the chat and we will get back to you, because we need to have Democrats staffing every one of those locations. All right, I see questions coming in, but before we answer your questions, we do have 4 other extraordinary candidates that are on the ballot. And so you need to understand that our countywide candidates are down towards the bottom of the ballot. One of our strategies this year was to recruit amazing candidates, because since we don't have straight ticket voting in Texas anymore, we wanted to give you great reasons to go down to the bottom of the ballot, and we have. So I want, there are 4 great candidates tonight who are going to talk to you besides Commissioner Brooks, but we want you to understand how critical these countywide races are. So we have our candidate for sheriff, we have our candidate for tax assessor-collector, we have our candidate who is going to be our next commissioner in Precinct 3, and then we have someone who is no stranger to the Democratic Party and Democratic Party politics, but she is running for a constable. That is the last race on the ballot. And so just extraordinary candidates there. So we're going to start now. And so I love to introduce this person because I think he's so great. But I'm going to ask Nick Alto to come off mute, because Nick, who has been our Texas Democratic Party Coordinated Services Coordinator, is working with the Vance Keys campaign and working with Vance Keys for sheriff. And I know that Nick has had a chance to really get to know Vance. And so I'm sold on Vance Keys, but I want you to hear it from someone else. So Nick, are you off mute?
Definitely, I'm right here.
Okay. So can you introduce Vance?
So, you know, in my short time that I've been with the TDP, I've had the pleasure of sitting down and meeting with Vance a number of times. And I'll just say that he's, you know, over the course of my career, I've worked with a number of candidates, some candidates who have, you know, gone on to be United States senators. And, you know, Vance Keys really every day finds a new way to impress me, whether it's his, you know, on some days when the campaign gets hard, he always has a positive attitude. He always is ready for the next task. And I know that he will be a fantastic Tarrant County Sheriff. So I'm very proud to introduce not only, you know, someone that I work with, but someone that I consider a friend, Vance Keys.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you so much, Nick. I'm super excited to be running for Tarrant County Sheriff. This race means the world to me. Tarrant County means the world to me. As many of you know, I'm originally from Eastern North Carolina, a very small community in Eastern North Carolina. I've been in Fort Worth now for 21 years. I've been with the Fort Worth Police Department for 20 years. I've met great people, made great relationships. There is so much more we can do for Tarrant County, not just as Democrats, but as public servants. My role, my vision is to transform the Tarrant County Sheriff's Department into a model of excellence for law enforcement. I want Tarrant County to be a beacon, not just in Texas, but across the nation. We have an opportunity, as Commissioner Brooks said, to really transform not only Texas, but the nation. If you've watched the news lately, if you've watched the local news even, you've seen that we greatly need criminal justice reform, and it's beyond just what goes on in your local police departments. What happens at that jail? We have a situation now in Tarrant County where Tarrant County is understaffed with employees, but is overbooked with confined people. And I'll submit to you, Tarrant County Jail should not be a long-term incarceration facility. It should not be the place where we send people to warehouse them for low-level, non-violent misdemeanors. It should simply be a clearinghouse where people receive due process on their pathway to justice, whatever that justice may look like. That's what it has to be. 60-something% of Tarrant County is full of people that are in pretrial. They've not been convicted of any offense. I want that to sink in. Tarrant County, like many other large metropolitan counties, is the #1 mental health provider in the county, and that has to stop. We have to do everything in our power to divert people that are mentally ill and that are mentally challenged away from the jail to get them the proper treatment that they need. We're in a pandemic. We've had 8 in-custody deaths since January 1. 8 in-custody deaths. We've had a mother that delivered a baby unattended on the floor of the Tarrant County Jail. The baby later died. There is no accountability. There is no transparency. There is no competence. There is no compassion in the current administration. And I don't say that to belittle the incumbent. I say that because it's simply the truth. We've had high-ranking officials of the Tarrant County Sheriff's Department accused of alcohol-related misconduct, and there has been no inkling of an investigation. There has been no inkling of any type of analysis of what's going on wrong in Tarrant County. We've seen 3 detention officers beat badly an inmate, and they were later arrested and housed in that same facility. Tarrant County can do much better, but it has to start at the top. I'm a staunch proponent for civilian oversight. I'm a staunch proponent for having the community integrated into Tarrant County, right? You need to know how your tax dollars are being spent, because there's big money in confinement, but it's not beneficial to the taxpayers, it's not beneficial to the staff, and it's definitely not beneficial to the people that are housed there. If you elect me as Tarrant County Sheriff, I promise you, I will improve the jail conditions. I will improve the relationship, not just between law enforcement and the community, but between law enforcement within law enforcement. We have a sheriff. There's 41 towns or cities in Tarrant County, and the relationship between the county and the cities is fractured. So I want to just build relationships across law enforcement, across Tarrant County. I want to abolish the divisive pet project 287G, which has no positive appreciable impact on crime. There's so much we can do in Tarrant County. I want to give those people that work at Tarrant County a voice, give them a system. There's so much that can be done, and I'm stumbling over my words, because when I think of Tarrant County, I just think it's such a lost opportunity right now. And I think that we've got to take Tarrant County, as they say, take America back, take Tarrant County back. Let's do what's right by people. Let's do what's right by our residents, by our citizens, by our visitors, by the people that come here to work, play, and just visit, and by our neighbors. So I promise you, if you elect me, Vance Keys as Tarrant County Sheriff, I will do everything in my power to professionalize their organization and build relationships that are badly needed. Also, as Commissioner Brooks and as Deborah Peoples has said, go all the way down the ballot, all the way up and down the ballot. Kathy Braatz, extraordinary person, extraordinary candidate. Ollie an extraordinary person. Sandra, extraordinary person. We have to take it all the way throughout, not just Vance Keys. This is a unified effort. Thank you so much for your time. Nick, thank you for the introduction. I'll turn it back over. Thank you.
Wow. So soon to be sheriff-elect, thank you so much. And so you really talked about, that was one of the questions I was going to ask, the number of cities and how we build that relationship with cities across Tarrant County. Also, you touched on 287G, which I think is very important, and the fact that we have people dying. So soon to be sheriff-elect, we are extremely grateful to have you on the ticket, and I'm going to hold questions till the end. I see that there are a lot of questions popping up in the chat, but because of time, I want to give every one of our candidates a chance to talk, and then we'll open it up for some of your questions. So if you all can hold on to those. And so one of the things that one of the people Vance just mentioned was somebody who is near and dear to me, and somebody that I cry every day at the thought of losing her. But so Ollie Anderson has been the comptroller of Tarrant County Democratic Party for over 8 years. She is amazing. She comes to us with a degree in accounting. She is a CPA, and she is running for tax assessor-collector. Tax assessor-collector is responsible for not only receiving your fees for licenses and permits, but property taxes. It is one of the largest organizations in the county. It is run today by someone who doesn't have a background in that work. We have an extremely qualified candidate in Ollie Anderson, and if you wonder why we call her Boss, that was her maiden name, but she is the boss of finances for Tarrant County Democratic Party. And so I would like to introduce you to our next tax assessor collector, Ollie Anderson. Welcome, Ollie.
Thank you, Chairwoman Deborah Peoples. This is Ollie Boss Anderson, your Democrat candidate for Tarrant County Tax Assessor-Collector. Yes, I ran in 2018, and yes, I am on the November 3rd ballot to finish what we started in 2018. As many of you know, this election cycle is a very crucial one. There's so much at stake, and we can't afford to miss a step by thinking someone else will do the job. News break, since I worked at NBC5, you are that someone. A lot of people, well, a couple of weeks ago, I was asked, am I from Texas? Was I reared in Texas? And my answer was no. But I had to think about that because my grandfather, who reared me, was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. Although we lived in Los Angeles, his allegiance to Texas, the love he had for Texas, and the pride, he instilled that in me. So I guess I can say I am a Texan by default. But my grandfather, he never envisioned that one day his little granddaughter would relocate to Texas and today be on the ballot as a public servant for Tarrant County. I am so excited. I am so thrilled to be able to just be on the ballot, because I know this one thing: we need new leadership in Tarrant County. We just cannot continue to go on the way that we have been going on in the past. We are in dire need of someone. I learned something also, that it is just not about your education and your experience, but we need someone who has a heart for people and who has a passion for serving others. And that is what we are lacking. Many of you don't know what the tax office does, so let's just do a quick overview. The tax office provides oversight and management to over $10 billion in revenue that is generated from collections. Did you know that we rank 3rd in the state of Texas for processing motor vehicle registrations and titles? The number 1 in property tax account in the state of Texas. We also collect fees for the renewal of alcoholic beverages, permits, and license. Now, you must have a permit before you can operate in the state of Texas. If your property taxes are delinquent, your request can be canceled or denied. With over 186 employees in 8 locations. That makes me think that the tax office is a service entity. It is intended to provide service to the great citizens in Tarrant County. When you visit one of those 8 locations, you should expect to be treated with respect, courtesy, professionalism, and in a timely manner. In 2018, after knocking on too many doors to recall and so many phone calls to count, I learned and I listened. Property taxes is a kitchen table issue. As a homeowner for the past 34 years, I am concerned about high property taxes. I have lived in the same neighborhood for 34 years. And when we talk about a neighborhood that provides love, nurturing, and a sense of stability. And so this is what I'm talking about. How do we preserve and how do we keep those neighborhoods? We have to look at things that are going to be beneficial to not just people who have money, tools, and resources to negotiate, but we have to look at everyone. The one thing that I want you to understand is that as a elected official, if I'm elected to be the next tax assessor collector, which I will be elected, you need to know that the tax assessor collector sits on the board of appraisal. And that is the start of your tax process, where they assess value on your home. So what we're fighting for right now, we need to have a seat at the table, because my grandfather always said, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. It is so important that we have someone seated at the table who is willing and able to do everything within their power to fight for fair appraisals. It is a must. And that person must understand and never lose sight of who they are there to represent. We are there to represent the people. Many people ask me, say, well, how can I reduce my tax liability? Homestead exemptions. I felt really bad because I learned after someone had passed that they had never taken advantage of the 65 and older homestead exemption. That is just really unheard of. This information should be easily and readily available on the county's website. This comes under TAD, but if you're sitting on the appraisal board, if you're collecting property tax, I think you just need to do your due diligence to know just what exactly is going on with the property taxes. You should have all of the information that is available in the tax office that you are able to share with anyone. When you visit one of those 8 locations, or you make a telephone call, the person that answers the phone, it should be a one-stop conversation. You should be able to get your questions answered without having to be transferred. Oh, you need to go to another office. Oh, I don't handle that. I do this and I do that. So it's imperative that staff is trained. It is imperative that staff understands that we are in this together, that we are there working for the people. But most of all, the elected official needs to understand, we are not there to be served. We are there to serve the people. If we're going to bring equality to everyone, then we have to stop looking at ourselves and start looking at others. What can we do? Because Tarrant County is a great place. My neighborhood is a great neighborhood. The community I live in, I love it. I worked as an election judge. I serve on the zoning board of adjustment. I love my community. I love when I go shopping that I know my neighbors. My neighbors know me and I know them. My neighbors, we don't have the same political persuasion, but they know me and they're willing to put my sign in their yard. This is what I want to bring to the tax office. There's a big gap between the tax office and the community because people feel like they don't have to go out. Once they're elected, their job is finished. The next thing that they're looking at is the next election. What I am proposing is to go out into the community and rebuild that relationship. I believe it's crucial to me on relationship building, because relationship building is how I am able to understand what your needs are. If I can't communicate with you, if you never see me, then you will never trust me. I will never be able to know what you are in need of. I will never be able to come up with a viable solution to your needs because I have distanced myself from you. And this is something that elected officials make a grave mistake in doing. We have to stay in touch with the people because we were elected by the people, for the people. We have to understand that we must be working with the people, for the people, to make our county better. And I'm just asking you, I saw a slogan that said once, rethink Mississippi. So I am asking you on November the 3rd, rethink Ollie Boss Anderson for Tarrant County Tax Assessor Collector. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you, Miss Ollie, and thank you for the service you give to the Tarrant County Democratic Party and the work that you do every day to improve the lives of citizens across Tarrant County. And so I'm going to go now to, I talked earlier when I introduced Commissioner Roy Brooks about the makeup of the Tarrant County Commissioner's Court. There are 4 precincts, precinct 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a county judge. Currently, those positions are held by 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats. Commissioner Brooks and Commissioner Devin Allen are precincts 1 and 2, and we are getting ready to add another Democratic commissioner to that court when we elect Kathy Braatz to the county commissioner. So Kathy is no stranger to Democratic politics. She has been, as they say, toiling in the vineyards for many years, and she's pretty young with the Democratic Party. So I want to introduce you to the next commissioner, Tarrant County Commissioner, and we'll all be there in January to see she, Vance Keys, and Ollie Anderson sworn in to county leadership. I'd like to welcome to you, Kathy Braatz.
Thank you so much, Deborah. That was a great introduction. I hope everybody can hear me. Yes, okay,
we
good.
Can.
All right, great. Like Deborah said, my name is Kathy Braatz, and I'm the Democratic candidate for Tarrant County Commissioner Precinct 3. I'm an Army veteran, and I've been a leader in many local organizations. I have over 24 years experience as a quality engineer at the world's largest defense contractor. And I've been a precinct chair I'm still a voter registrar, and I'm actually still president of Northeast Tarrant Democrats. I've been supporting and organizing for like-minded progressives in my community for over 3 years, and I realized I have a unique perspective and experience that is well suited for serving this community that I deeply care about. So the Commissioner's Court has enormous influence over the policies that affect the lives of Tarrant County residents, especially in the areas of public health, elections, and criminal justice. And I am running because Northeast Tarrant County deserves someone who deeply cares about the economic and social welfare of all residents and will fight for their equal access to health care, elections, transportation, and clean air and water. And I really want to make county government transparent and accessible to all residents. As we know, the biggest issue affecting our community right now is COVID-19. And the Commissioner's Court needs to have the strongest possible response to tackle this public health crisis. The court needs to ensure that public health is funded adequately so the county can deal with the current crisis as well as prepare for future ones. As the deep economic impact of COVID-19 takes root, the court needs to make healthcare accessible, more accessible to those who need it, and provide access to mental health. Like Vance said, the county jail should not be the largest mental health provider in the county. So my opponent, Gary Fickus, is entrenched, ultra-conservative, and he has been in power for over 14 years. He has consistently downplayed the COVID threat and voted against common sense, preventive, mitigation, and containment strategies that could have helped minimize the COVID impact. And he has consistently been the lone vote against common sense budget proposals for public health, county hospitals, and vote centers. So election access and criminal justice reform are also other key areas that I'm running on. And I have all of that on my website. I just wanted to kind of wrap up and say that, you know, Tarrant County has been trending blue. We know that Beto won it by 1% in 2018, but our Commissioner's Court is still majority Republican. And flipping my seat will actually flip the Commissioner's Court to majority Democratic. And, you know, by flipping this court, we can get issues like public health, elections, and criminal justice reform, especially with Vance as sheriff, at the forefront of the Commissioner's Court. And we can accomplish all of this. You know, I want you to support me in my campaign and to vote, as everybody else has said, all the way down the ballot, because I'm pretty close to the very bottom myself. And, you know, let's flip this county blue. And I'm going to put, I think Heather put my links in the chat. You know, we can't knock on doors. We can't do in-person events. So the main thing we're doing is trying to raise as much money as possible to run against an incumbent. And, you know, we're trying to, you know, get mailers, and we're in the midst of ordering signs. So please donate, social media, share social media, Facebook, retweet on Twitter. All of that gets our name out there, and just talk to your friends, especially those that are not as involved as a lot of the people on this call are. There's a lot of people out there that, you know, don't know that much about candidates. I mean, I was one of those myself, not very long ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't know anybody I voted for, and now I know everybody I'm voting for. So please talk to your friends about, you know, all the great candidates that we have. And, you know, thank you to Deborah and the whole Tarrant County Democratic Party. And thank you. Vote all the way down the ballot. Thank you so much.
Thank Kathy very much, because that is what our focus this year is on, the coordinated campaign. And I want to thank Kathy for talking about the realities of what's going on with COVID-19. And I want you all to know how we have not stopped campaigning. And so, you know, we spent a lot of our time knocking on doors in past elections. But I think what that did is it prepared us for campaigning in the time to COVID. We have not stopped reaching out to candidates. We hold weekly and sometimes 3 times a week phone banks for candidates. We're reaching out to people by phone banks. We're also, yes, John Schlueter, Gary Fix is morally reprehensible, but not only are we reaching out to candidates by phone, but we are reaching out to candidates by text. We are I tell everybody, do as I say, not as I do. We are not recommending that we do door-to-door campaigning. It's just too dangerous for our volunteers and for our for Democratic voters when we knock on doors. But we are making progress, and I don't want anybody to think that we are not making progress. We had an amazing phone bank last Tuesday on our vote by mail, and we'll continue to do that. So I just want to tell you real quickly. I've been getting emails that Republicans are opening campaign offices. I personally think that that is not the right way to go. I am not putting anybody in harm's way, but it shows their desperation that they're willing to expose themselves and their voters to COVID in order to try to win an election, much like 4.5 is doing now, when he says he knew how dangerous COVID was, but he downplayed it. And so I think we're doing the right things. And so, Kathy, I know that Northeast Democrats, your organization, has been amazing in terms of what you are doing, Heather, and Indivisible, reaching out to call people. And please keep that up. And with that kind of energy, we are going to elect you to the next commission.
How's it going?
Did I lose anybody? Now, I got a note from Sandra Lee, who's been out putting up signs in the rain, that she was not feeling well. So I'm going to see, Sandra, are you still on the call, or did you have to drop? Did I lose anybody? Now, I got a note from Sandra Lee, who's been out putting up signs in the rain, that she was not feeling well. So I'm going to see, Sandra, are you still on the call, or did you have to drop? All right, I think she had dropped, yeah. Okay, she had to drop. She was not feeling well. So this is why I tell you all the time, we need to practice safe things. Sandra Lee and her husband were out putting up signs in the rain. And so I noticed early, Sandra Lee, and what we've done with the constable races, because one of the things that I am so proud of the Tarrant County Democratic Party for, and our Democratic candidates, is all of our candidates are eminently qualified. There is not one candidate on the ballot that any of us would not be proud to have represent us. And Sandra Lee is one such person. She is extraordinary and has been engaged in Democratic politics for a long time. She currently sits on the Kennedale School Board and is Mayor Pro Tem there, and has been fighting for a lot of issues. When Heather just put Sandra's Facebook page up, so I'm gonna put in a plug for Sandra Lee for a while. We have seen a great Democratic shift in voters moving to Southeast Arlington and that area in the Mansfield, Kennedale, South Arlington area. Sandra has been very engaged in working to elect Democratic candidates and worked very hard on the campaigns for Commissioner Devin Allen and Kenneth Sanders. And we were able to elect those two individuals. One is Justice of the Peace and one is a County Commissioner Precinct 2. Sandra would be an amazing asset. She is well qualified, served as a school truancy officer, understands issues that impact residents of those cities that come to the JP court, would bring a lot of humanity and work to that. She is one of 5 candidates that we have for Constable that are running across the board. I am going to encourage you. One of the things we did was to try to get great people all the way up at the top of from the top of the ballot to the bottom of the ballot. So you would have a reason to go down to the bottom of the ballot. Sandra's information is on the website, and you can go and look for ways to support her. But we clearly are going to elect constables across Tarrant County. They do evictions, they serve papers, and let me just tell you, with everything that's going on with evictions now and the state of people in poverty and what COVID has done to so many people, we need people with good common sense and compassion to be in these offices to make sure that people are treated humanely and treated with respect. So if you've got questions for Sandra, I'll try to answer them, but I think you all know she's no stranger to politics, and she'll be an amazing constable. Thank you. Well, it is now 6:52, and so I'm going to ask a few questions, and I'm going to turn it over. Someone asked me about if I knew the status of the Glenn Holtz lawsuit against early voting. I do not. And while we were on the, Sandra says, speak for me. So I think I spoke for Sandra. But one of the things, I don't know anything on that lawsuit. Nick, do you have from the state party, do we have any updates on that?
So unfortunately, I'm not super familiar with that lawsuit. I'm definitely going to take it back to my superiors and talk about it. But when I provide I'm sure that there is some sort of update on the state party side. So I'll provide that to you, Deborah, and then you can disperse it.
Thank you, Nick. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot because I hadn't seen any update on it either. I just thought you might have something more real time, but we will get you an answer to that question and get back with you. As you all know, the Tea Party and Empower Texas has really inserted itself into races, and there's a lot going on in South Lake that they're trying to do. So we just have to be ever vigilant on that. But early voting today is still from October the 13th through October the 13th. We're urging people to vote early. Please go and vote early because we expect large crowds. I want you to know that in 2018, in an off-year election, we have 1 million registered voters in Tarrant County. We had over 600,000 people go to the polls. I believe we could easily top 750,000 voters based on where we're going. And so we want you to take advantage of either voting by mail or voting in person during early voting the 13th through the 30th. Remember, we have vote centers in Tarrant County. You can vote at any location in Tarrant County. So in March, we saw some hiccups because people weren't familiar with vote centers. And so we now can move folks around and get you in and out. But please go and vote early. So I'm going to turn it back to the candidates. And so Vance, I'm going to ask you, no, let me start with Kathy because she went last. But Kathy, what can we do to help get you elected? And then we're going to, Kathy, if you'll turn it over to Ollie and then to Vance.
Okay, I think I took myself off mute. So,
okay.
So as I mentioned before, right now running against an incumbent and not being able to go do things in person, the biggest thing you can do is to donate to our campaign, because we're getting the word out by phone calls, by text, and by mailers, and some of those things are quite expensive. So, you know, donating definitely does a lot for the campaign. So, you know, reaching out to all the voters with all those type of things and educating voters on what county commissioners do. So that's why I've been posting every week. I post something about what the county commissioners do, because a lot of people don't know. So I really appreciate everybody that's retweeting and sharing that information. So thank you very much. And I think you wanted me to send it to Ollie next.
Okay, but Kathy, before we go, Heather wanted to know, do you have signs?
Not yet. We are working this week to get them ordered. We kind of went back and forth on the proofs. I'm waiting for the proofs, and as soon as we get that, it's a local company, and so I should get them very quickly once we have everything set.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Kathy. And so, yes, you're tossing it over to Miss Ollie. Miss Ollie, what do you need from us? That mute button gets us all in trouble. Miss Ollie? So while there she is.
What I said? Oh, this is my greatest challenge, social media. Okay. I know, I just being, really, first of all, let me just thank you and thank everyone for attending tonight. This was really great. It was really informative, and I hope that we will continue to be doing things of this nature, because this is really stretching me, because as I just said, this is my greatest challenge at my age, social media. But what do I need most? I need money. We are buying signs, and I do have yard signs. We are trying to purchase the larger road signs. I need to, so I am having a fundraiser in a couple of weeks, but I really would appreciate if you would go onto my website and make a donation. If you would volunteer, if you have some time to help us with phone banking. We are reaching out to the precincts that have more registered Democrats, but they didn't show up at the polls in 28. And so I need help in reaching out to them and inspiring and motivating them and telling them about the great slate of candidates that we have on the ballot. So my website is OLLIE4 taxcollector.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Ollie. And now soon to be Sheriff-elect Vance Keys. What can we do?
As Kathy and Miss Ollie echo, the donations are really huge. I'm in the process of purchasing signs, and no amount is too small. People think that I can't give $2, I can't give $3. I know I sound like a politician, but the expenses add up so quickly. Tarrant County is huge, and just getting signs out in a quadrant of the county is going to be difficult. My opponent has signs everywhere. I've seen them, lawman, veteran, the cowboy hat. I'm thinking I've got to get some signs out. But in addition to the donations, just pay attention to what's going on in Tarrant County. Look at the new, a lady just died yesterday in custody at the Tarrant County Jail. And I didn't mention that because there's always something going on in Tarrant County. Be social media ambassadors. If you can't give money, that's fine. I understand everybody's not in a position to donate. If you can't donate, please share my information. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, talk to your neighbors, talk to your family, talk to your friends. Look at what's happening specifically in the Tarrant County Sheriff's Office And that's why we need to change, and we need to change this November. We didn't change now, but November is the earliest we can get it. So I just need social media ambassadors and donations if at all possible. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And so let me tell you all, your candidates are right. But so if I can make you all feel better, signs don't vote. I know we like to have them and have signs, but just know that last Tuesday, we had 54 volunteers who made over 8,000 calls on Tuesday night. And I want to thank Holly from the state party for coordinating that. We are reaching out to our senior citizens and like me and those that are eligible to vote by mail. So we've contacted about half of those folks now. We need other people to join our phone banks. It is in the chat, the link where you can go and register to sign up for a phone bank. So we're asking people to do that. The other thing is that we will have big signs that say vote Democratic. We urge you to vote from the top of the ticket to the bottom. So I just want all the candidates to know those should be in by this weekend. We'll start putting them up around the county. We also have Biden-Harris yard signs, and ours say vote from the top of the ticket to the bottom of the ticket. We're doing a lot of voter education, but I want to thank you all for being on this call tonight. We have extraordinary candidates, and I think you see from listening to them how what great candidates they are. And so we have been doing these Zoom calls for many months now so that you get to meet our candidates. We're going to ask you share these when you see the announcement. Share it with other folks, because I've seen all these great comments about, yay, Vance Keys is great. Kathy Braatz is wonderful. Ollie is amazing. You know, Roy Brooks is wonderful. The way Sandra Lee is great. The way that we get the word out is when you share it. So don't keep these things secret. Share them with people. And come November 4th, we're going to be celebrating the election of candidates that will create a whole new way of life for us in Tarrant County. So I'm going to thank you all. Heather, I'm going to turn it back over to Heather for any wrap up, and we're going to get you back to your evening. Heather.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I don't actually have any other announcements to make. A lot of it was in the chat, but what we do want everybody to know is, you know, that we're going to have another town hall that will be coming up next Thursday with more of our candidates from Tarrant County. So if you have—
Heather, let me say something really quickly
Yes.
before sign off. I just saw from Nancy Summerman that she says we need poll watchers. Guys, we need election work more than we need poll watchers. Election workers are inside the poll, and they actually are checking voters in. We want to make sure that there are enough Democrats working in those polls that can call attention if there are problems. Poll watchers watch. They don't get to have, they don't get to interfere in an election. They take down data. We want election people there. And yes, John Sleater, we are going to have slate cards. We are working now, and I want to thank Heather and Myra and for the work they are doing. We will have postcards that are slate cards that can be handed out to individual voters, but they also can be mailed to people. We are working with that list, all of our candidates. We are working on those now. We should have pictures up on the website fairly shortly. If you go to our website, you can see the 4x4 signs that we ordered, and we need folks to come in and help us put those around the county. We have some volunteers now, but if you can put up signs, if you have extra T-posts in your garage, bring those and come pick up some signs and help us put those out. So I think we're well past the time. And if you put, I think Ollie said, who do we give information for poll workers? If you put it in the chat, we will send it over to Miss Vera and Robert, who is in charge of our election judges. And so put that in the chat, and we will make sure we are getting that over to the elections administrator. And so Heather, now I promise I'm going to mute and turn it back over to you to close us out.
Thank you very much, Deborah. And before we close the chat, just letting you know, if you subscribe to the emails, like Commissioner Brooks said, he's got a ton of emails from me That's usually where people, you know, discover who I am. It's like, who is this person that keeps emailing me and making me do things? So that would be me, Heather Buen, Communications Chair. Please subscribe to the email newsletter, tarrantdemocrats.org/subscribe. You will know everything you need to know about upcoming events, as well as our town halls. I will make sure that you get taken care of, anything that you need. If you have additional questions or comments and didn't have time to put it in the chat, please send us an email at info@tarrantdemocrats.org.